Alright, in this video we're going to be restoring a FactoryTalk View Site Edition HMI application. Now in this environment we're going to take it from one computer to another computer. So we're taking an application that we used to have on FactoryTalk View Site Edition 7, version 7, and we're going to take it and transmit that to FactoryTalk View Site Edition 10. And this will be the same exact instance if you were taking it from computer to computer, from one computer to another computer, or from one server to another server, right? So this is the tried and true processes that I've used for years that are my best practices. I'm going to show that in this video, so please make sure you take the time and watch and make sure you pay attention to this. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm going to briefly talk about the tools we're going to be using. We're going to be using FactoryTalk View Studio. We have already used the HMI Server backup and restore. That was what we used on the other computer to get the actual files that we need. And we're going to be using the FactoryTalk Administration Console. And so just to kind of give you a understanding, we're going to fully simulate this process. So we're using the FactoryTalk or the Studio 5000 Logix Emulate. So I have that running here. I also have, to save us time, I'll also have the file. I converted the FactoryTalk demo, or the FactoryTalk Instant Fizz demo. I converted that from version 24 to version 31. Now this is going to be already done, so we don't have to worry about doing that. That's to save us some time. Again, the core of this video is to show you how to restore the HMI application. So I'm going to show you my best practices briefly. Let's go ahead and talk about the files that you will have after you did the HMI backup application. So you will have all the files listed below, and what you're going to have if you actually did the admin console, which I highly recommend you always back up your FactoryTalk console, is you're going to have again you're going to have an .sed, but you're going to have also you're going to have the actual BAK file. So this going back showing the instant fizz .bak, that's going to be giving us the application that we need, right? So let's go ahead and show you how this works. So if we have this, we can go ahead and basically all it does is lay the foundation. So we're going to open this up, and what it's going to show you here is this is going to give you the ability to choose the network or the FactoryTalk directory you're going to use. In this case, we can use a local or network. This will work in both processes, so it doesn't matter. In our case, we're going to be using the network. So it's going to be using the network distributed application instead of a local. This will show you all the programs that I currently have, and you see I have an old version of Instant Fizz as well. So we're going to come up here, and then we're going to right click our computer. This is the network of this computer, and we're going to go ahead and hit restore. Now in the restore, this is going to where you specify where you're going to get your files. We're going to point to my actual application here. This is going to be the Instant Fizz right here, and this is going to be the Instant Fizz backup, right? So this is going to be the BAK file, and this is going to restore that to that actual FactoryTalk administration console, right? So this is what we're going to be doing in here, is laying the foundation. Now in this case, you're going to be asking you for a passphrase. 90% of applications do not use a passphrase unless you're in a secure environment where the application has like a really kind of restricted atmosphere, where you need to have, let's just say, a government atmosphere or something like that, where you're really kind of restricting that environment. They may have an or password on that, but in our case, 90% of stuff you don't have. So this is really, really important. I want you to understand this as well. When you're backing this up or when you're restoring this, the restore itself, you do not want to check this box called restore system, or you do not want to check this box called restore application into a new name. You can do that, but the restore, really what's important is the restore system, that you do not click that, because what that's going to do is going to overwrite all your files over here on the left hand column over here, which is your Explorer window. It's going to overwrite those files and delete those files. So you don't want to delete all your hard work, and I'm not going to delete all my hard work that I've done so far, so I'm not going to check this box. Okay, don't check that box. All right, So let's being that we have an instant fizz already, let's go ahead, because we have the older instant fizz, we're going to have the instant, we're going to check the box for down on the very bottom to name the application something else. So we'll call this instant fizz, let's just call it instant fizz, and then we'll call that FTView 10. That way we know what it is. So we'll go ahead and restore that. This will throw the application over here on the left hand side. This will actually, import that BAK file into that the Explorer window right here. So now that we have that in here, and we do have that right here, we can come in here and do two things. For one, the way the structure is, there's a data server, and then there's the HMI server. Now we want to go ahead and come into our data server and go to properties, and we want to change this to our computer. So we want to change the hosting computer of our FactoryTalk Linx. This is going to be where you do your HMI communication, all your shortcuts and everything, how you communicate to your PLC. That's where you do that. So this is going to be where you're hosting it. So we're taking it from one computer to another computer. We want to tell it, the application, now, hey, you're going to be using this computer. That's what we're doing. So at that point, we'll click OK. And this over here, you would like to, you're going to have to do that same thing on the application, the Instant Fizz HMI. However, you can't necessarily do that from the administration console. So we're completely done with the administration console right now. We've added the backup, which is good. We're going to go ahead and close this out. Now we're going to go into our FactoryTalk Studio or View Studio right here. We're going to open this up. We're going to then go to our network distributed. Again, this is where you can pick your levels: machine edition, local edition, network edition, or network station, or a network distributed. We are going to be doing a network distributed application, right? So this will work on just about all those except for the ME station. The ME station is completely different. So we're going to choose our application now. Now this is where it's going to open up, and I don't want you to worry about this because a lot of people will see this error. It's going to say the unable to open HMI server. It's completely normal. It's completely normal. You're going to see this. It's because you're taking it from one computer to another computer and you have yet to rename the actual application. I'm going to take it a step further, being that we took it from version to version. We're going to take it from actual FactoryTalk Site Edition 7. We want to take it to FactoryTalk 10. I'm going to take it a step further and actually import this. So in here, I have my data server, or have my communications path. This is my RSlinx, right? So Linx Enterprise changed from Linx Enterprise to FactoryTalk Linx in the newer versions. So this is what you'll see now, just so you know. And when it comes to the HMI application, what I like to do here is I like to come in here and get the name, and I'll grab the name real quick, not a big deal, and then I'm going to delete this. Now look, you might be asking to yourself why you're going to delete it. Because I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to add it back. It's not that I'm going to add it back a different way. I'm going to import this into this application. You might be asking, why are you importing? That's a good question. So I'm going to come in here, select what project type I'm doing, right? And I'm going to FactoryTalk Site Edition project. I'm going to now point it to the actual application. So this is going to be in here. This is the application. I'm going to then select the .sed right here. This is going to be, then I'm going to open it up and then go to the next, right? I'm going to select next. So now I've effectively am adding the application. I'm importing it, right? So now I'm going to give it a name. We'll give it a name. We'll call it Instant Fizz HMI. All right. Now, sometimes you may have to rename this. Not a big deal. You're just renaming the actual server name. You're not renaming the application. So when it comes down to it, this is going to be importing it into the computer that we're currently doing, which that computer name is Shane. So let's go ahead and verify that. It does tell me that the project already exists. Not a big deal. We're going to call this HMI. We'll call this FT View 10, and then we'll do that. Okay, so we'll keep it the same name, FT View 10. Now we'll import, and all that did is I'm renaming, and again, this is going to have a grace mode. Depends upon your licensing and stuff. You may have that pop up, but again, this is importing the information into the actual application. So you might be asking yourself, why are we importing? And that's a good question. So I'm going to answer that question real quick. While this stuff is importing and actually uploading the information, is the 90% of actual HMI applications with Site Edition use ActiveX. And if you're using ActiveX, what this is going to do is when you're importing, it's going to import the d.dll files. It's going to import those so that they're brand new and are going to work off your existing computer now. And so when you open up the graphic initially, it makes a brand new DDL file, or it uses your DDL file that you have in your computer. So if you're the Windows-based system, like if in my environment I'm Windows 10, in your environment you might be a Server 2016, it's going to replace those files. It's going to make brand new files, which is what you want to do. You don't want to have to go in there and manually do that yourself. Saves you a tremendous amount of work. All right, so again, this is the best practices I've learned throughout my time. And again, now you see the HMI services loading. So we have all of the actual stuff loaded in here. Now what we're going to do, being that we have it loaded in here, we're going to create our shortcuts. Okay, so let's come over here to FactoryTalk Linx, which again, formerly known as RSlinx Enterprise, right? And we're going to open this up. We've already repointed this. If you recall, we repointed this inside of the FactoryTalk administration console. So what we want to do now is it's going to pop up this message that says, hey, you've made some changes. We're going to click OK. We know we made some changes. Now the shortcut name is your shortcut path. This is the way you talk to your actual your PLC file. Right now, in the natural form of FactoryTalk, the way they do things, they just, in this application, they call the shortcut. Some people call it whatever they want to. You could have whatever name you want to. You could have PLC, or you could name it Instant Fizz, right? You could name it Instant Fizz. But the problem is here, if I named it Instant Fizz, then I'm going to have to re-tag the whole application. So let's go ahead and leave it like it is to save us time. Now I'm going to point this application to the emulator slot that I'm running. Notice I'm running the virtual backplane up top, right? And if you don't have your virtual backplane, you're going to go into your RSlinx, and you're going to add that in here with your drivers. You're going to add the virtual backplane in here. So if you don't have that and you're doing a virtual environment, just make sure you add that before you start this process, and that will actually add that into your FactoryTalk Linx up here. So now that that's here, we're going to point our shortcut to our actual PLC file to make our communications conductivity. We're going to actually establish that now by clicking apply. Okay. Now while we clicked apply, we're going to hit verify. Okay. Then we're going to hit OK. Now I want you to notice something. While we were here, this alarms and events, so a lot of people may have missed this alarms and events. It may or may not be in your application. Let me show you where you would enable that or disable that. The alarms and events is right here. If you disable this, I'm going to do it real quick just to show you, and then I'm going to open up the communication setup again. Notice that it does not show that down here now. Okay, so we don't want that. We want to have our alarms that we had in here in the application. We want to make sure those are here. So we're going to check these boxes. Enable alarms and events support. Okay, so that's done in the FactoryTalk Linx, again, formerly known as RSlinx Enterprise. We're going to come back in here, verify that our settings are correct. Alright, so now we have everything here. Everything's good, so we don't have to apply any changes. Our enable is here, yes. Our timeout buffer is 20 seconds, perfectly fine. Okay, so now we want to make a client. And first, let's make sure we establish communication. Let's go to one of these screens and make sure that we can open this up and we have effectively established communication. So I'm going to run this and make sure all of my files, it shows that I'm actually they're working, right? Make sure if I'm not wireframing anything. So we have done that. And just so you know, I mean, it's a larger application, but just so you're aware, let's actually do that on something like a tank. This is a tank agitator. Let's do that on another one. Let's just do the dashboard. This is a real good one because it has a lot of tags. Let's make sure we're not wireframing anything. So we did effectively make our shortcut correctly because we're not wireframing anything. So this is a very, very good promising thing. So hopefully you're getting a lot out of this. And if you have to watch this multiple times, I get it. Just please understand I'm passing on a tremendous amount of information right now. So I completely get that. So when it comes down to it, now we want, before we make our HMI application, our client file, we're going to come in here and we're going to go to client keys. Make sure that any client keys are currently being used in the system. We want to make sure that we use that. Okay. Then we have macros. Okay, so we have this one right here called startup large. We want to make sure we utilize this. Okay, so why do we want to utilize this? I'll show you. Let's go make a client. We're going to click the right top corner. I'm going to create a client. Then this is going to be called the instant viz HMI client. Alright, so now I'm going to click continue. Alright, now I'm going to make an application. I'm going to select my application. This is going to be the application we just made. Alright, I'm going to select my, and this is where you can select your initial language. In my case, it's English, obviously. And in this point, you're going to select your HMI server name. Alright, so this is where we get into the client keys that I asked you to look at, right? So this is why those macros and stuff is important. Client keys, enable client keys right here. Startup macro is your startup macro. And then we're going to go to advanced. We're not going to do any kind of displays initially because the startup macro already does that. We're going to go full screen. Okay, so then we're going to go and no title bar. We're going to keep diagnostics on there just for the simple fact of troubleshooting. I want to keep my diagnostic bar on the bottom in case I go and something wireframes. I can easily detect what to fix. And that's just on the initial startup of it. Afterwards, I'd come back and edit this actual client, and then I would disable that feature. The enable logout, I'm going to get rid of that. Come in here. I'm going to leave all this like this, and let's go ahead and run our application. Make sure it runs. Alright, so we've tested everything. We've effectively restored the application, right? We've done everything. Now we're coming in here. We've set up our communications. We've renamed everything to the correct computer. We've imported our application, so we know we're not actually going to, have any kind of ActiveX problems or anything like that, right? Because we're going to use the correct .ddl files or DLL files. I should say that correctly. I get this talking fast. Sometimes it does happen. So when that happens, we have all that stuff. So when we use the application now, it's going to search and replace all that stuff. It's a really, really cool feature. So now we're running the HMI application through the HMI client. Let's see what we got so far. All right, so we actually have everything. So we got the blending. Let's go to blending. All right, open up blending. Blending looks really, really good. Everything seems to be working. Let's go to rapid mixing. Make sure everything pops up. Okay, so we're running. We can press to manually do something. Let's do it. Let's go filling. All the filling stuff is working. Okay, so you can see that. The labeling, all the labeling and stuff is working, so that's good. Packaging. Let's see, the packages are going down the line. We can turn this stuff off and on. CIP, let's look at the CIP. That's good. Let's pop open this right here, see if we have any alarms. Okay, we do have an alarms, but we're not going to worry about that. The alarms and events are currently working. This is where you can come in and edit all that stuff. We're not going to come in here and show you how the application works. We're just merely making sure the application does work. The dashboard, again, this is the dashboard, so maybe I need to resize the application a little bit. Not a big deal. So we're going to come in here to health, look at our server, and for some reason it says it's not loaded, but it is loaded. So I may need to fix this graphic. This is really a simple thing to fix. Now let me show you how to fix that real quick. So we're going to come in here and pop open our actual application. And what screen was that it called? Let's go to here. Let's go to System Health. Okay, I want to show you this. System Health. We're going to come in here. For one, I know my FT view, this tag server. I need to right click at properties and get my hosting computer, because we failed to do that. Now this should fix that effectively. This should start loading that. Alright, actually you see it right now loading. Alright, so now let's go into our other area. So this is the HMI application, and let's come in here and find out again. Let's come over here. This system screen is what we were on. So this is a system screen and it loads in. This is why I use the diagnostic bar. Okay, so that loads in system screen. Alright, so we're going to look really fast. I'm going to edit, this is security. I don't want to edit security. I want to go to system languages. Let's look at where we're finding that. Let's actually scroll off of that and call it again. So let's go to alarms, and then we're going to come to here. This is going to be the dashboard. This is going to call large system health. That's why that diagnostic bar is cool. So we're going to get a large system health. Now I want to show you this right here. I'm going to go into our, this is going to go into our VBA code. We're going to open up VBA code and we're going to rename this. Now see, this says FactoryTalk Linx, perfectly fine. This says Instant Fizz application. Well, that's not necessarily the case now, because we've renamed our application to right here. So we can go to server status, actually go to properties. We're going to grab the name real quick, copy it, and I'm going to come over here to our VBA code and we're going to paste it in there. Paste this in here as this. Okay, so that's going to save that, and this is going to be the VBA code. None of the other stuff is actually used, so I'm just showing you how to fix that real quick. If you did rename it, we're going to then come in and save our VBA code, which does save the screen as well. So let's just run the screen to make sure we got everything working, and we do. That's how simple that was. So we come back to our application and we're going to refresh the screen, because once you make a change like that, you have to refresh the screen, because again, it keeps that environment. We did make a physical an actual change, just like changing a graphic. We changed the VBA code, right? So that's working. So that shows you that. Again, you can change it. That's your HMI area, that's your directory. So we do have our application running and everything's good now. So as far as this goes, I think we did a good job. As far as, it was I did this straight off the cuff. I didn't really build any kind of plans for this. I just wanted to make sure you've seen exactly what I would see. Now again, I could resize this HMI application because it does need to be resized, but let's close our shut down our application, come back in here, and we can resize all that just by coming in here and editing that actual graphic. So if we did edit, come over here to our client, and let's come in here and throw the default stuff that they had in there. So let's go to advanced settings real quick, and then we'll come to specify the client size instead of maximum. So instead of maximum, let's come in here and start the client just like that. Now again, this video has kind of ran a little bit long, but it's very, very, very much detailed. So I want to make sure you get the very best from what we're talking about here. And again, understand we're taking a project that was on one computer, taking it to another computer. So how this is an effective restore and fixing some of the little issues that we have, but naturally the best practices on doing this. So in a little span of 20 minutes, we've gotten this thing accomplished, right? So the other 10 minutes I would say would be making the actual client file and going through and little tweaks and stuff like that. So but effectively we did get out of that. All right, so it's just a screen size now, so we need to get the screen size right. So we'll close that out, and again we can play with that to get the actual client file the right size, but as far as that goes, that could be the sizing here, the properties and stuff like that. Anyway, so hopefully you got a lot out of that video about how to restore an application. We do have effectively it restored. We did save you a little bit of time on showing you we already had the PLC file in there and loaded, so we did save you a little bit of time on that, and this is a fully simulated code. So what I wanted to do is actually show you how to effectively restore a FactoryTalk View Site Edition application. No matter what version you're on, right? You can take it and use this import process, use this restore process that we did right here using the FactoryTalk admin backup file, use that and then come back and just reconstitute your actual HMI application and get it fully working within a short time frame. Again, make sure you go through the application afterwards and do your due diligence and testing and making sure all that works. But this is effectively the best practices on how to restore an HMI application. And as of 6/26/2001. Now again, things do change, but again, I've used this same process for years, all the way back from FactoryTalk 5, 6, 7, 9, and now 10. So I've used this on all of these, and this does effectively work on all of them. So again, when it comes to it, I could foresee this would continue to be the process and moving forward. But again, keep this in mind, this environment is moving in this application from FactoryTalk 7 to FactoryTalk 10. All right, with all that said, we'll see you guys on the next one.